After a full night of thunderstorms and rain, I took my usual walk in the park. The ground was still wet and muddy as the trees blocked the sun. I noticed how much more the grass and shrub had grown from all the rain we'd been getting. The tall grass on both sides of the trail, it felt like a maze. I was walking with my eyes on my feet, avoiding the mud as the grass rustled in front of me. I immediately stopped and looked up. A small creature ran past. A rabbit then popped out, crossing the trail into the grass on the other side. Hot on its tail was a ferret, hungry for its next meal. These two went back and forth, and finally the rabbit ran diagonally towards me, passing into the bush as the ferret stopped in its tracks, looking up at me. For a moment I thought he might want to get me next for costing him his lunch, but he just ran back into the grass and I continued walking on. As I was about to turn the corner, I looked back and he was just staring at me, head halfway out of the bush. As I kept going, I thought about how cool it was to see a wild ferret in the park. They aren't native to the area, so I assumed it must have been a pet they escaped, now out in the wild, living as it was born to live. That's an interesting thing, is it not? They're born and raised domesticated, confined to four walls and eating only when given food, living a life completely removed from the lives their species have lived for thousands of years, knowing nothing of its potential life. Yet one day, everything changes. It escapes and the four walls of a house expand into a limitless world. It has to hunt for its food and find a place to sleep now, but yet it's free. And interestingly enough, I think we can really relate to this experience, although with one major difference. We are born into the lives we are given, the family, the circumstances, the location, yet we have the ability, even though we haven't experienced it physically, to see the potential of our lives looking completely different. Unlike the animal that may never know a different life, we see it in our minds. We see ourselves with the riches, the partner, the family, yet even with this massive advantage over the animal, a lot of people's lives are just as the animals. And I believe it's because as we grew up, our abilities to see into infinite potentials were written off by the world as our imagination, not real, a fantasy, having no connection to the world we experience with our senses. But yet, think back to the days before others influenced your beliefs of what was real or not. We believed full-heartedly that we were superheroes. After I saw the Wolverine movie, I squeezed my fist with all my might, swearing that I saw my claws about to grow out. I believed it as much as I believed grass was green. And although I never grew claws, I can only imagine how different getting older would have been if the world wasn't there to say that's not real. And sure, I understand there's a debate to be made for the need for balance or the negative effect of believing everything. But as much as we don't know about our lives and the universe around us, who's to say what is real or not? Everything man-made in this world started in the minds of men or women, formed and yanked into existence from the place once called a fantasy. These people believed full-heartedly that what they saw in their minds they could create with no physical evidence of it. Now that's motivating. And it's also just an important thing to know, that the world around us isn't fixed. It didn't just come like this. Regular people bent and shaped it by calling forth their ideas into the world. And as they did, so can you. We all can impact our lives, the people around us, and even the world if we are brave enough to place our fingerprints on it. But it all starts with us believing in the vision we see in our minds. Because without that, we are just as domesticated as the animal, tamed and held captive in the life someone else has predetermined for us. So have courage. There's something out there that only you can bring into this world, and there's someone out there waiting for it. But it takes you being brave enough to believe in something that no one else can see.